Don't depend on other people as your source for happiness. Today, we're going to give continuation on our topic about Hannah. You can find this story in the first Samuel, chapter 1. Let's read here together and recap. Then Elkanah, her husband, said to her, Hannah, why do you weep? Why do you not eat? And why is your heart grieved? Am I not better to you than 10 sons? So Hannah arose after they had finished eating and drinking in Shiloh. Now Eli the priest was sitting on the seat by the doorpost of the tabernacle of the Lord. And she was in bitterness of soul and prayed to the Lord and wept in anguish. Then she made a vow. Very well. Here we have um, the story of Hannah that we began a couple of weeks ago, and today we're going to give continuation. And why is that? Because when you look at the life of Hannah, you clearly see someone that was depending on her husband, depending on the priest, Eli. And as long as she was depending on others, it was blocking her faith. As long as she placed her expectations and her dependence on other people, she was delaying the progress in her life. And this happens to a lot of people because um, normally we grow up with this understanding. For me to go to church, the pastor will say prayers for me because that's the protocol. This is the right way of proceeding, right? For example, if you go to the bakery, um, the right way is for you to speak to the baker and tell him, look, I'm looking to order one loaf of sourdough bread, and he will be the one to get the bread, to cut the bread, to pack the bread, and to hand it over to you. It's not normal for you to go behind the counter and for you to go and cut it yourself, pack it yourself, because that's the job and the work of the baker. However, when we talk about practical faith, the biblical faith, there's no set of rules. There's no protocol. Every person in the Bible that found God's help, God's miracle, God's provision, revival, empowerment, they all had a different path to walk. They used their faith in a different way depending on the circumstances. Never in disobedience to God, but they connected with God in different ways and different forms. In the case of Hannah, the right thing for her to do was wait on her husband. Her husband was the head of the house, the spiritual leader of the house. And she obediently followed the lead of her husband for years. And he was a godly man, he was not an unbeliever. And likewise, she obeyed by bringing to the priest the offering and asking the priest to intercede on her behalf. And she followed this process correctly until the moment she realized, like, the following. Um, if I repeat the same thing over and over again, I'm always going to have the same result. I have to do something different. I cannot be depending on my husband to solve my problem. I cannot depend on the priest to solve my problem. And that's where she took that action of faith that was something out of the ordinary. She did something that she had never done before. She did something that people were not accustomed to, but something that pleased God, which is the living faith, not a religious faith, but a faith that moves the hand of God.
You know, we have to explain what is religious faith and faith, okay? Because sometimes people that think they are religious and they think they are using faith, they don't know this is happening. And I do believe in Hannah's case, she also didn't know that she had like a religious faith. So a religious faith is something that it has a system, is systematic. Oh, I'm gonna pray midnight. I'm gonna wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to pray. This is systematic. Is nothing wrong for you to pray at midnight, wake up 3 o'clock in the morning, but it has to be something spontaneous because God answers to us when we are spontaneous. We leave religion aside, rituals aside, and we are free to express our faith, how we feel. That's what pleases God, and that's what moves God. So sometimes people, when they hear the testimony, especially when we speak about the Holy Spirit, the person says, "No, I woke up in the middle of the night to seek the Holy Spirit. I fasted. I evangelized more." So they take this as a formula for themselves, for them, for example, to receive the Holy Spirit. And it's not like that. All that God asks and requires of us is sincerity, spontaneous faith. For example, in the Bible, people that got great breakthroughs were people that all often went away from the normal. Last time we spoke about the woman with the bleeding, was bleeding for 12 years. So what did she do? She was spontaneous. Her faith was spontaneous. The blind man that was there crying, "Jesus, son of David," and they told him, "Shut up. Jesus, tell him to go away." And he cried out louder. What he was doing? He was breaking the protocol. He was breaking the ritual, the formalities. And he used sincerity, spontaneously. And all these people that were spontaneous with God, you can read, they all got their breakthrough. The problem sometimes is that we are mistaken with spontaneous faith, which is a faith in action, that a faith that moves them, and a faith that is religious, that is only following rituals, expecting to receive the same benefits as a person that does things spontaneously, and often doesn't happen like that.
Yeah. So, in other words, how do I break the religiosity that may be around you or that you may have fallen into unconsciously, unintentionally, by breaking the routine? If you break your routine and you start doing things, pleasing God, using your faith, but out of the routine, you start practicing a living faith, a spontaneous faith. And when you do this, like Hannah did, because Hannah, she broke the protocol, she rose up, didn't speak to her husband, went straight to the temple, didn't ask anybody's opinion. Then, when she went to the temple, didn't speak to the priest. She was supposed to have spoken to the priest. And she went straight to God, spoke to God, poured out her heart before God, something she never done before. And God heard her prayer, answered her. Within 3 months, she got pregnant. Within 1 year, the baby was born. A miracle baby, Samuel. The Bible tells us that the meaning of the name of Samuel is God has heard. God heard her not because he was not listening before. God was always listening. And um, Hannah was always praying, but this time her prayer was different. Her prayer was different. She didn't use a middleman, and she made a vow, she made a promise to God. So, whatever she did that moment, it called God's attention. God was looking because he noticed that her expression of faith was clearly different from the many times before. If that has been lacking in your life, then ask God to show you and help you how to express and practice a living faith. All right. This is our meditation for today. We're going to be back again tomorrow um, with the story of Hannah. Join us again tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in. God bless you all abundantly. Bye bye.
Bye bye.